Thomas comes to breakfast. Thomas the Tank Engine has worked his branch line for many years. "You know just where to stop," laughed his driver one day. "You could almost manage without me." Thomas didn't understand that his driver was only joking. "Driver says I don't need him anymore," he told the others. "Don't be so silly," said Percy. "I'd never go without my driver," said Toby earnestly. "I'd be frightened." "Pooh," boasted Thomas. "I'm not scared. You just wait and see." It was dark in the morning when the cleaner came to light the engines. Thomas drowsed comfortably as the warmth spread through his boiler. He woke again in daylight. Percy and Toby were still asleep. "I'll give those silly stick-in-the-muds a surprise," he chuckled. He felt steam going first into one piston, then to the other. I'm moving," he whispered. "I'll creep outside and stop. Then I'll wish loudly to make them jump." Thomas thought he was clever, but really was only moving because the careless cleaner had meddled with his controls. He tried to wheesh, but he couldn't. He tried to stop, but he couldn't. He just kept rolling along. "Never mind, the buffers will stop me," he thought hopefully. But that siding had no buffers. The rails ended at the road. Thomas's wheels left the rails and crunched the tarmac. Ahead of him was a hedge, a garden gate, and the station master's house. The station master and his family were having breakfast. It was their favorite one of ham and eggs. "Horrors!" exclaimed Thomas, and shut his eyes and plunged to the edge. There was a crash. The house rocked. Plaster peppered their plates. Thomas peered through the broken window. He couldn't speak. The station master strode outside. He shut off steam and surveyed his wrecked garden. His wife picked up the plates. "You miserable engine!" she scolded. "Just look at our breakfast, covered in plaster. Now I shall have to cook some more." She banged the door behind her. They finished their breakfast in the kitchen and left Thomas severely alone. More and more plaster fell. Thomas wanted to sneeze, but he didn't dare in case the house fell on top of him. No one came near him for a very long time. Everyone was much too busy. At last some workmen arrived to prop the house up with strong poles. Next, they brought a load of sleepers to make a road over the garden so that Donald and Douglas, puffing hard, could pull Thomas back to the rails again. Thomas's funnel was bent, bits of hedge, the garden gate, and a broken window frame festooned his front, which was badly twisted. Thomas looked so comic that the twins laughed aloud. "Goodbye, Thomas," they chuckled. "Don't forget your driver next time." His driver and fireman began to tie him up. "You're a perfect disgrace," they told him. "We're ashamed of you." "And so am I," said a voice behind them. "You're a naughty engine." "Yes, sir. I'm sorry, sir," faltered Thomas. "You must go to the works to be mended, but they've no time for you now. Percy will take you to a siding where you can wait till they are ready." Next day, a diesel rail car came. "Ooh, ooh," she tooted gaily as she ran into the station. The fat controller came over to Thomas. "That's Daisy," he said. "She's come to do your work. Diesels never run off to breakfast in station masters' houses," and he walked sternly away. Toby and Percy didn't like Daisy at first. They were afraid she might be troublesome. "Please, sir," they asked, "will she go when Thomas comes back?" "That depends," said the fat controller. Thomas didn't enjoy his time at the works. "It's nice to feel mended again," he said afterwards, "but they took so many of my old parts away and put new ones in that I'm not sure whether I'm really me or another engine." Meanwhile, as Toby and Percy had feared, Daisy was troublesome. She was fussy and lazy and got into difficulties with a bull. When she said she was sorry, Toby put in a good word for her, and the fat controller allowed her to stay after all. Thomas, Percy, Toby and Daisy are now all good friends. Thomas is glad to have Daisy's help with his passengers. He is never now so silly as to think that he can manage without his driver.